Yeah, back with another interesting and important video in my AI series videos. So now in this video, I'm going to showcase a very latest model DeepSeek R1. It's not just to say what it is, but it is about how do we get free APIs for DeepSeek R1 and how to use this within our existing platform like Copilot Studio. Here is a quick demo of it. So here is an agent. So I'm going to give, let's say that uh, how to create custom components in Power Platform. So I'm just giving something how to create custom components, and now let's see that what is the outcome. So if you see, there is a DeepSeek R1 action which it is calling, and here it has given an input, and here is the outcome. So the outcome will be generated, and this is coming directly from DeepSeek R1 because I'm using an DeepSeek R1 API from Groq. So I'll go, here is the outcome. If you see the outcome here, so it has analysis, which means this is what it is thinking about. Okay, so I wanted to create a custom component in Power Platform, and it has given all these things, and then this is thinking, and then this is the outcome. This is actually the steps what you need to do. So this way, this is the super powerful DeepSeek R1 reasoning model, which gives way better options than anything else. So I'm going to showcase you step-by-step detailed video on how I have created this. Today, I'm going to talk about how do we integrate DeepSeek into Microsoft Copilot ecosystem. So for that, we can use Copilot Studio. But before that, there are many things which we need to know about DeepSeek APIs. So let's begin with DeepSeek APIs. So basically, we know that with the latest Chinese model, the market has shaken up. But the big thing is how do we implement, how do we integrate such powerful thinking model into our ecosystem, into our applications is one of the biggest thing to learn about. So this video is for developers, how they can implement DeepSeek. In a general sense, how do you use this API and how do you integrate into some other existing applications. So in this video, I'm going to showcase from very basics to integrate into Microsoft Copilot ecosystem. So we have APIs. So basically when you need APIs, either you go to the base platform, which is deepseek.com, and here you will see the developer platform. This is not free, and also please make sure about the privacy terms. For everything which I say, it's an educational purpose. For usage into any of your application for organization, please make sure you are going to look into the privacy, security, GDPR, any other complaints, because some of the data will be sent to the server, so you should make sure what is happening in the backend. But that is a separate discussion. But for now, we'll learn how to use it in all different scenarios. And then you can use something like Groq, OpenRouter, and NVIDIA platforms to actually host this model and get the API key for free. Yes, you can get it for free, but there are some limits to this. There are some limits, like per hour you can only make so many API calls. Per day you can make only few API calls. But this is for freelancers. If you want to give it a try, test it out, learn things, this is a very great start. I use Groq. Groq is speed. This is reliable, and they say that yeah, the data is not being sent to different regions. So please read their details. In this example, I'm going to show how to use Groq. And then we have for enterprises. So if it is, this is for primarily for freelancers to test it out. But if it is an enterprise, if it is a big enterprise, then you should go for Azure AI Foundry. And or if you are using Google Space, then you can use Google Vertex AI to deploy this DeepSeek model into this, and then you can create the endpoints and use it ultimately. The concept is same everywhere. So for now, I'm going to go to Groq, and then I'm going to showcase this how to use it. So this is for mostly enterprises. This is for enterprise setup. So I'm going to Groq Cloud. So you can see, you can go to groq.com and you can go to Groq Cloud and you can create your account. by logging in with your Google account, and then you can see some examples here. If you see, so this is primarily what are the models available right now. We have the preview model called DeepSeek R1. Let's go ahead and use this DeepSeek model to get things started. So quick start, what you need to do is you need to call this endpoint, pass the authorization bearer token, and then you are going to send the message, and in the reply you are going to get that analysis, the thinking data, and also you are going to get that details on how to process this. So let's go ahead, create an API. So I'm going to API keys. Let me, again, after this tutorial, I'm going to delete that API key. So don't bother to copy that API key. So I'm saying tutorial, and I'm going to copy this API key. So Groq API key. This is free, so I'm going to use it. Similarly, if you want to run on NVIDIA, you can go to NVIDIA build.nvidia.com and search for DeepSeek AI, and here you will be able to get an API. Basically, maybe I have already logged in, so you can log in and then create an API. So once you have an API key, you can use similarly, you call the endpoint and you send the model, similar to Groq what we saw, it will be able to create it. And now OpenRouter, if you want to go for OpenRouter, it is also another famous one. Here if you see, there is DeepSeek and free. You want to go for this free, so R1 free. So if you click on free and say API, then you should be able to log in with any of your Google account or any other way and create an API key. It will be giving an API key, and you go ahead and use that API key. And for enterprises, yes, you need to go to ai.azure.com, explore, and then look for models. For example, Azure AI Foundry. I go ahead, here you see O3 Mini, DeepSeek R1. These are the top models right now. So you need to deploy this. You'll get the endpoints to use it. And similarly, if it is Google AI Studio, sorry, this is Vertex AI, you log in and you go to model garden, and here in this model garden you will be able to see all the models. And if you search for DeepSeek, so you see here DeepSeek, you click on it, and then you will be able to deploy this. So you click on deploy, you will be able to deploy and get the endpoints for it to be used in your applications. So this is paid, obviously Azure AI Foundry, and this one is paid. Open router, and then NVIDIA and Groq Cloud, you get some limits or some credits for free, and then you may need to pay for it if you need more. I use Groq because the limits are a little generous for people who are freelancers, developers, small scale, but I found it pretty reliable as well. So what next is that I'm going to create a, let's say here, I'm going to create a Copilot, I'm going to create an agent because this names keep changing. So let's say now I'm going to create an agent. So let's say I'm going to create, this is Copilot Studio, by the way, for the people who doesn't know Copilot Studio. With help of Copilot Studio, you will be able to create agents. There can be retrieval agents, there can be task-based agents, there will be autonomous agents. At this point, let's go ahead and try to create an agent using Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is a Microsoft product, and it is used to create intelligent chatbots or intelligent agents. And we are going to create a simple agent by just giving the description. So you give the description, create. I'm just saying create something. Let's see what it does. So primarily with Copilot Studio, you'll be able to create that intelligent agent. You'll be able to give different kinds of data sources. It can be public website, it can be Power Automate flows, it can be database, it can be SharePoint, anything you can go. Yeah, it's saying name is DeepSeek R1. I want to call it as innovation research. Innovation research thinking about anything is fine. Let's go ahead and just, I maybe should have said agent. That's okay. This is just for education purpose. So it's asking, do you need to emphasize or avoid anything? At this point, I don't want to do anything. I'm just saying nothing. And now it will ask for creation, or it will ask for data sources. Do we have any data sources to create? So it is saying, if you have any data sources to give, should we give it? But I don't have any data sources at this point except to call DeepSeek R1 API from Groq. So I'm saying skip to configure, and here it has given me some instructions, so you can change this instructions later as well. This is what I was saying. So you can add public website, SharePoint, data words, and you should be also able to add many more things. But at this point, I'm not adding anything. Later we'll add an action after we create it. So I'm saying create. So when you say create, it is going to create me an agent. This is all mostly nothing to do with coding. It is all low code, no code. So anyone can create an enterprise agent with the help of Copilot Studio with just drag and drop or simple instructions. So it has indeed created me a bot. Now there is nothing to do here. So what we need to do is later I'm going to create an action. This is where actually there is a difference between a general assistant versus an agent. Actions means there is something to do in the backend. For example, so for chat GPT or any chat assistant, you go type and it will retrieve some information and give it. But then if you say, okay, send me an email with information, but that is not going to do that. So, but now these agents can do actions. So for example, you need to do with something with database, you need to do something with SharePoint, you need to do something with your Twitter, LinkedIn, or anything, you can add an action. That is the important stuff. So when you click on add an action, it will show you delete a row, add a row, this is Excel related, run a Power Automate desktop, send an email, these things. So at this point, I can add an action called new REST API to call our DeepSeek R1 API, or I can use Power Automate, or I can use custom connector. If I say prompt, then this is built in within the Power Platform ecosystem, which is again from Microsoft. It will be using GPT-4o, but we are looking at REST API, custom connector, or Power Automate flow. So the easiest of all this is new Power Automate flow. Power Automate flow, for the people who doesn't know, Power Automate is a automation workflow system within Power Platform in Microsoft products. So Power Automate is used to create automations. At this point, I'm going with Power Automate, which is the easiest option of all those things. Or you can create the API specification for our Groq, and you can also upload that API Swagger document so that it will understand that API better. But let's see. Now I'm going. Now I have got run a flow from Copilot, yes, from Copilot, and respond to Copilot. Now I'm going to add a new step called HTTP. So when I say call HTTP, so there will be just a basic HTTP call. And this HTTP, what is the URI? So URI, this is something which I can go and get from here, model documentation, quick start, and here it is. This is the endpoint. So I'm copying the endpoint. And I'm going to the method post, and here is the header. So the header is basically authorization bearer API key. So you can basically use environment variables or Azure Key Vault to keep it more secure. But for now, I'm going to directly use API key. But the best practice is creating an environment variable or creating the Azure Key Vault and saving this API key there and getting that here. And then the next one header is content type. So let's go ahead and do this. Now you have this. Now the body, let's go ahead and look into the body. I wanted to copy this whole stuff and then keep it here. So this model, let's keep the model right now as go to models, and I'm going to the preview model, and I'm going to select this DeepSeek R1 model and keep that here. And role is user, but the content, I want the content to be passed from what user has given. So for that, I'm removing this. And then let's say that when you select a run from a Copilot, you can add an input. And let's say this input is question. Let's say content. Let's keep, okay, let's keep content. And here I'm coming, and then I'm going to give it content as dynamic stuff. So when you say dynamic and you content, then it is going to bring the content from here. And if you want any kind of additional authentication, primarily authentication authorization is passed here, so we don't need that. So we are all set for this HTTP API call. And in the response, so I need to send the response to that. So let's say response, and I need to send a dynamic value. To send the dynamic value, select here, and from HTTP trigger, return will be body. So we are sending this response. So let me publish this. So once you publish, this is ready. You can go back to your Copilot Studio. Let's wait till it publishes. And here, let me go ahead and refresh this. So it will be showcased here. Maybe we need to give run a flow from Copilot is the name, but let's, yeah, here I see that, but let's give a proper name to this. Let me change the name, DeepSeek R1. Now again, publish this and you go here. Let's go to, can go and click on add action. I can search for DeepSeek. If it is not available, it's not published yet. So it is published. Let me go ahead, close this and refresh, because sometimes it takes time. Again, it is coming this way. I'll give a refresh just to make sure that that is showcased here now. So add an action, it still showcases run from a flow. Let's go ahead and take this. It may take some time to reflect the new name, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one now. Earlier name was run a flow from Copilot. Here if you see inputs is content, output is response. So add an action. So what happens is when you add an action, you should be able to call that action within this agent. So it is turned on by default and here it is. So now if you go here in the overview, here you should say that what needs to be done. So I'm going to click here, edit, and I'm going to say that call we need to change the name. Let's see if we can change the name here, because I wanted to say action name DeepSeek R1. I changed the name so that it is easy for Copilot to understand when to call this. So once this is saved, I am going to overview and I'm going to change this instructions. Let's say call the action DeepSeek R1 for every user input. Display the outcome, display the response message content in two sections, analysis and outcome. Analysis will have the content of the text between think. But what is this? I'll just show you in a bit when we run this. So think and rest will be outcome. I just changed the instruction so that for every user input, this action should be called. So I just said save, and now we are going to test this. Let's go ahead and test this. Okay, let's go ahead and test. Let's see. I wanted to give this. Let's ask a question on Power Platform. How to create custom component in Power Apps to to do image mapping and tagging. So there is a specific feature where I wanted to put pins on an image. Then let's see how to create a custom component in that low code, no code Power Apps. So when I type this, what it is going to do is, okay, first there is also another thing which I will say you. Let's see what it does. So it looks into knowledge sources. Basically, we didn't add any knowledge. If we want to add, we can use public website, SharePoint, DataVerse, or anything. So what it does is it went ahead and gave me the generic answer. So analysis and outcome, it went ahead and gave me a generic answer from its data source, but it didn't call the action. So how do we know that? We know that when we are running, it will actually look into action, but at this point it didn't look into. So now what we are going to do is we are going to turn on orchestration. So if we turn on orchestration, what it does is it is going to call this action. So what happens is by default, Copilot Studio uses GPT-4o model. And if when you say that allow AI to use its own general knowledge, it is going to use the GPT-4o. I'm turning, so I don't want that to happen. So what I did is I turned on use generative AI to determine how best to respond to user and events. When I say this, then it will know exactly what needs to be called from the agents. So I'm going to refresh this. Now let's go ahead and run this. Then when you run this, you will understand. Create PCF for Power Apps. So I'm just giving how to create PCF component for Power Apps. Now, if you see, there is a session started, and now it will try to call the action DeepSeek. So now it tried to call the action, but it is saying that the content is missing. So the content is missing. It's not able to understand to send this. So for that, what we need to do is we go here and we say, okay, call the action with DeepSeek, send the user input to content input parameter. Send the user input to content input parameter in DeepSeek action. So this way it knows that, okay, whatever we put in here, that needs to be sent as a input to content parameter. So it's saved. Let's see, I'll copy this one so I don't have to type every time. So let me go ahead and refresh this. Now I'm just typing this. Now you'll see that, okay, the session started and orchestration will call that action. And now it has put how to create PCF component, and it will run this here. If you see, so when I go back, it goes ahead and runs this. So when it runs this, you will see the outcome. Here is the outcome of that. And here you'll see the display unit now. So if you see, so here is the outcome, and this is coming from, so here is the analysis. It says, okay, I wanted to create a PCF. This is all the analysis or thinking which DeepSeek does. And here is the outcome. If you see, this is the outcome. This is the outcome, how to create the Power App CLI. This is very clear and clean. So now you are using Microsoft Copilot, Copilot's built-in intelligence along with our DeepSeek R1's intelligent. If you see here, it has ran this. So when I go ahead and click this, you will see that what I have passed is this. So the input is how to create PCF, and here if you see the HTTP call, and here you will see the body. So here is the body. Here if you see, there is a content thing and all those things. Now that is being pulled from there and put it here. So this is coming from DeepSeek from Groq. So tomorrow if there is a new model, yes, you can update the model by default. Right now we put it as DeepSeek R1, but if you want to change the model that comes into the market, which is bigger, then you just go ahead and manipulate the model part of it, and you should be able to run any kind of model to get the outcomes from it. So this is super easy and super beneficial for your organization, rather than relying on the only options available within the Microsoft Copilot or any kind of intelligent models which you have by default. You don't have any option, but you can enhance those options by using this. So you can ask any question now. For example, let's say that, what is the biggest number, I'm just saying something randomly. So let's go ahead and see what this does. So it's again going to call DeepSeek R1, and here it has put this, and you got the outcome, and now it is going to display the outcome. So now this intelligent board can be published to any channel. You can publish it to general public in a website, or it can be published to Teams. It can be published to Microsoft Copilot ecosystem, anywhere else. So here if you see, so this is the analysis. First I recognize isn't a single biggest number known to humans. Oh, it has done something, and now it has given me some outcome, which may be making sense or not. There's no single biggest number known to humans, so it has given some conclusion. There's no biggest number. Numbers can be infinite. So it has given some intellectual answer rather than just saying some number. That's good. So with this, I'm continuing doing this AI series. In my next series, I'm going to showcase you a lot many new stuff. For example, in the next video, I'm going to showcase you GitHub Copilot agents, which is a new feature released by Microsoft. That will be much more interesting because you don't have to now write the code or even chat with Copilot to get the code. You'll give the first instance, you'll give the file directory, and it is going to do everything for you. You just set, because it takes the control, and you just enter what you need to, and it will be going ahead and creating your software solution, which is an interesting thing. Please do follow subscribe on YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out in comments or through my LinkedIn. Thank you.